I arrived at Ocala, Florida at 11:45 a.m. just as CSX A782 was doing the same. The wild goose chase I had embarked on 2.5 hours back in Orlando came to a standstill whenever I stopped by Ocala to see what was shaking. A782, a Wildwood-based local, often comes up the S-Line to Ocala to drop off cars at the interchange track for the Florida Northern, and that's exactly what they were doing today. Today's 782 was powered by two rebuilt GP40-3s, both remote control capable. After shoving into the transfer track, the crew pulled back out with a fresh set of cars to bring back to Wildwood. The Ocala Union Station was built in 1917 through a joint effort between the Atlantic Coast Line and the Seaboard Airline. I'm looking north on the old ACL Main, now owned by the Florida Northern. Just after running around their train, the rebuild duo sets off southwards and back to Wildwood. After 782 left Ocala, I kept pushing north, intent on finding a good spot to wait for the train of the day. I finally pulled off at the Loch Lusa boat ramp, where I would end up waiting for another 90 minutes. Finally, at 3:30 p.m., I got a text from a friend that CSX K811 was pulling south out of Baldwin, the staging yard about an hour north of Loch Lusa, and about an hour after that, showtime. K811 was the whole reason I was so far from home turf today. A BNSF C44-9W, followed by an SD70 MAC painted in Burlington Northern's executive scheme. Colloquially known as Executive Macs, these brutes have been at the top of my most wanted list for as long as I can remember, and with their existence ever in question, I'm glad I got this guy while I could. From Loch Lusa, I had just enough time to jump ahead to Anthony, where 811 was barreling through the dugout adjacent to myself. I've wanted to see a train here for a long time, and K811 couldn't have looked better in that beaming Florida sunshine. Intent on giving chase, I figured I could leapfrog 811 in Ocala. Fortunately for me, the track layout through Ocala consists of a number of tight turns negotiable only by slow speeds. Unfortunately for me, it also hosts one too many traffic lights. But it took a lot longer for the 99 car train to pick up speed than it did for me, which meant I had just enough time to intercept at Santos, but not by much. This was obviously a quick grab-and-go shot. The real chase was only just beginning. From here, both me and K811 had the same speed limit, which meant getting ahead of him was going to be a chore, and a chore it was. For another 35 miles through Summerfield, Oxford, Wildwood, Coleman, and into Bushnell, all I saw was hopper cars. but things cleared up after Bushnell, where I figured I could afford some pacing action. It took another 15 miles to get ahead of 811, which brought me to the south end of Lakuchi Siding. I'm almost 90 miles south of Loch Lusa, where my day picked up about 2 hours prior. I don't do chases on the S-Line often. In fact, this was my first one of 2018. Starting the day with that in mind, I decided I was going to do this one right because I figured I probably wouldn't be over here again for a while. Well, I was wrong. Just 2 weeks later and I found myself making another trip out to the S-Line. The day started out in Winston, where 0799 was backing into the yard to our south. After 0709, we made our way west along the A-line towards Plant City, just in time for 0709. He's coming west on the S-Line out of Tampa, where the track abruptly turns to the north and crosses over the east to west running A-line. Leading 0709 was engine number 4311, one of only 20 GP39-2s on CSX's roster. Following 709 came Q442, the daily Tampa to Waycross manifest. Word on the street was that today's Q442 was planned with a Canadian National GEVO up front. Hearing this, I decided to meet some friends down at Plant City, where we learned the hard way that not everything goes as planned. After Q442 cleared, we all went our own way. I decided to follow the S line north to Bushnell, where I just barely missed Q453. But there was good news, as 453 was peeling off the main and into a siding. They were doing so in order to let the monstrous Q442 continue north without skipping a beat. And just like that, here he was. Q442 used to be an early morning departure from Tampa. That all changed when CSX instituted a new meet and swap policy where corresponding trains meet and their crews swap. This returns crews back to where they started their day, but only works if trains are able to stick to a schedule. In order to meet its counterpart halfway, in this case between Tampa and Waycross, Q442's departure time has been pushed back a couple hours, putting him in Bushnell at about 2 p.m. on this rainy Wednesday. I stuck around Bushnell for a while afterwards, and for good reason. CSX K427, loaded ethanol tanks out of Blue Island, Illinois, was coming south with quite the lineup. The BNSF war bonnet trailing has an interesting story behind it, and is most of the reason I stuck around in the rain for so long. Upon merging with the Burlington Northern, the Santa Fe Railway was halfway through receiving an order of C-44-9Ws painted in their iconic war bonnet scheme. The new BNSF Railway had yet to come up with the paint scheme, so the halfway completed order of Santa Fe war bonnets was finished with BNSF lettering instead. This was my first war bonnet, so of course I had to chase them. This is at the Dade City Depot about 20 minutes south of Bushnell. What I did not realize about chasing a train down to Dade City was the long drive back home I had ahead of me. So with that, I called it a day. Thanks for railfanning with me, and don't forget to subscribe if you liked this video.